Something that really impressed me when I started learning about 4-H was they have their spark. They often talk about the spark. That is an amazing thing because I think a lot of people in general may have felt like they've lost their spark a little bit. And the whole point of 4-H is letting somebody discover what makes you happy, what gets you excited. And I loved that. That really, really resonated with me. That also feeds my desire to help people, and I don't want people to be confused.
Right.
And I want them to find resources and help because there's a lot of it.
You're listening to Granite Goodness, the show about optimism, progress, and problem solving in and around New Hampshire. My name is Andy DeMeo, and today I'll be coming to you from Treeline Outfitters in Portsmouth. On this episode, I chat with Pam Shore and Kate Gradot at the UNH Cooperative Extension's 4-H program, where they help young people develop skills to build lives of purpose, service, and self-direction. We talk about why workforce development matters for people of all ages, the abundance of services and experiences provided by Cooperative Extension, how staff across the extension system work together to accomplish big things fast, and many other things on this episode of Granite Goodness. I hope you enjoy it. Pam Shore, Kate Gradot, welcome to Granite Goodness.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. This is unbelievable. You're wearing green. You have 5 green sweaters.
I do.
You did something about positive parenting. You know Emily Whalen's mom.
Yep.
And it's the connections abound. One of the questions I've been enjoying asking people lately, like, why did you want to come on Granite Goodness? Like, you know, we've been chatting for a little bit via email, and I think you both reached out to me, like, what about this concept of like, hey, can we frame things positively? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, so I discovered your podcast because I follow Treeline Outfitters, where we are right now.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is amazing. And I have recently just joined UNH Extension 4-H. I just started in January. And I have met amazing people. They do amazing things. And I thought people need to know about this. Yeah. And what a great positive thing for the state of New Hampshire to know about would be UNH Extension and New Hampshire 4-H.
Yeah.
So that's why I reached out.
There you go.
And she told me, and I have the opportunity to work with families and youth and communities throughout the state. And right now, I feel like staying positive can get hard.
Sure.
And so I like a challenge, and I want to remind people why to be positive and the great things that are out there. And Pam told me about the podcast, and I started listening, and I'm like, oh yeah, there is some good we can do here just by sharing a lot of what we do, why we do it, and thinking about who else we can bring that positive goodness to.
Well, extension is a thing that, like, I mean, extension as a word has implications, but you can't even begin to sum up. Like, it is so vast, and its tendrils are so, they touch everything, in just all these positive ways, and it's exciting. I don't think I've had anyone who's like directly, like literally is part of extension on the show before. So I want to talk about 4-H and kind of your niche of it, but you are for the time being the representatives, for guests so far.
Good. Well, you're going to remember the word before extension in our name is cooperative extension, right? Yes. And so the cooperative part is also so essential. Those tentacles that you talked about. Yeah. It requires us to be able to cooperate locally and statewide and globally. And I think that really also just makes it even cooler what we do. Yeah. So thanks for having that.
Well, maybe for people who don't know, like, just give us the 10,000 foot view
of extension.
Yeah. Well, and the role that you both play in it.
Sure. So extension dates back to the mid 1800s when in 1862, I'm going to go real quick. It doesn't sound 10,000.
Abraham Lincoln started UNH Extension.
You're doing so good, pretty much, kind of. Don't start that rumor. So the Extension Service started as a way to bring the technology and the research that was happening at these universities to the community. Mm-hmm. They realized that folks needed those technological advances on the local level and the community level to rebuild community and to advance the science behind farming and community development and other local practices. So Extension grew from there. And in New Hampshire, the land-grant university, which is where Extension lives in every state, the land-grant university is your University of New Hampshire in Durham. And in 1915 is where UNH became, Extension was its birthing place, and we have grown exponentially from there. We have 5 extension programs. One is health and well-being, community economic development, food and agriculture, natural resources, and who I represent and I am the program team leader for is 4-H, youth development and education.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a little bit, 10,000 on Extension. And we're in every county throughout the state.
I'm up in Carroll County.
It's a great county for lots of reasons. And it's funny, people think of Carroll County as driving through to go to North Conway, but there's so many cute little pockets.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm one such pocket, I hope. You must be pretty good at naming all 10 counties of New Hampshire.
I can. Go ahead.
How embarrassing would it be if I can't? I probably can't. Rockingham?
Very good.
Carroll? No, I can't. I don't know. Coas, right? There we go. Belknap? Belknap. Why am I thinking Belknap?
Because it's spelled P-E-L-K-N-A-P.
The K is silent.
That's okay.
Merrimack. And then Grafton. Cheshire.
Sullivan.
Stratford. Those last other 3, I feel like I don't have any idea where
Hillsborough.
they are. Oh, in Hillsborough, yeah. That's where Manchester is, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just glad you didn't list that one first. That was.
Well, I know that Rockingham has this bizarre shape to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because I think Londonderry is in Rockingham County.
In Portsmouth.
Right.
Which is kind of wonky.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way up through Goffstown and part of the north. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Funky shape.
Well, that could be a whole other that could be a whole other episode. How did you both get involved in Extension? Tell me that story.
Well, mine started a long time ago. When I was doing my master's degree, I was doing outdoor adventure program research, and I was interviewing a parent. And the parent said, "What are you doing after you graduate?" And I said, "Great question. I have no idea." And he said, "Well, I work for the Extension Service, and this is in North Carolina. And we could really use some really great young-minded people around youth development, because being in 4-H, which is where I am," he said, we need an agent here in the county. Would you apply? And I was like, 4-H? What the heck is 4-H? I mean, cows and cooking and the chicken lady? Yeah, I mean, I grew up in upstate New York where agriculture is a thing for sure, but wasn't in my inner city school.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it as well. I said, sure. I know youth and I know people and I know community development. So it was a good fit. And that was 20 years ago. And, brought myself up to New Hampshire with my family eventually and my kids, and got back into the world of Extension and 4-H after a short stint with the community college system. And I'm never leaving. It's a great entity. And so I developed this position around workforce readiness, because right now we're really, we really do try to build the future leaders of community and industry. And right now, I think our young people are really starving for pathways and opportunities. So I created this position with my team around workforce and career readiness, and I found this gem of an individual, Pam Shore.
This lady named Pam showed up.
Yeah, so I'm the workforce readiness specialist.
Excellent.
This is my field specialist, which is my title. See, look, I haven't been here long. I just walk around and say that constantly. I'm new.
Right.
And what attracted me was workforce readiness. I have a huge passion for workforce development, workforce readiness. I have a background in education. I started right here in Portsmouth at St. Patrick's School, which actually down the street, and they have since torn it down, but that's the first place I taught. So I was an educator, and I moved into an adult education in Stratford County at the Dover Adult Learning Center.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. They're awesome. And then, needed to work full-time, to be honest. Life situations changed. My kids grew up.
Right.
And I started finding some full-time jobs. And I've had a lot of different ones, to be honest.
Sure.
And they were all, and I've learned something at every single one of them.
Yeah.
And the last place I was Milton Caterpillar in Londonderry. I was the workforce development specialist there. So I grew up in Derry. So I'm very
from
familiar.
Londonderry.
Oh.
LHS 2013. Yeah.
Go ahead, give your year.
Did he?
No, you don't have to.
No,
I was just
we're
saying.
not going to give Pam Jarrett Pinkerton Academy. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But there's a big rivalry, Londonderry and Pinkerton.
Oh, yeah.
You probably don't know
Mac
that,
Play.
Dave.
know that.
That's generous of you to describe it that way, because Pinkerton demolishes Londonderry every year almost. Maybe that's changed since I've been there. But,
Yeah, I don't know.
that's how it was.
Yeah, my parents still live in Derry, but so I do go back. But workforce development started to be my passion when I worked at adult education. I was a teacher. I taught GED prep. I taught ESOL. You name it, I taught it. I am very passionate about adult education. And I realized that folks needed some help with their next step because we had counselors, but they were really there to provide those wraparound services that people desperately need of housing and food. But what about, you graduated or your English is so great.
Right.
Why? What are we going to do? Like, what are you going to do next?
Yeah.
So I created a position for myself. It had many different names. I was the college and career transition coordinator. I was the college transition coordinator. We had so many different names for it, and it just really evolved from there. So when I saw this position, I actually looked at it a lot, and I was like, should I apply for that?
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Thank God.
There you go.
Got a lot of work to do.
Well, so what, I'm like trying to put these pieces together. Like, what about workforce development? You said like people just need a little help. Like, why are you so passionate about it? Like, what attracts you to the work so much?
I love talking to people about what they like and what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I will talk to anybody about this, and it often embarrasses my family. But too bad.
Not again.
Yeah, too bad.
Pam.
But I do it in the coffee shop. If I
Yeah.
hear someone say, I think maybe really I'd like to go into cosmetology. I'm like, oh, really? What kind of cosmetology? And why?
Yeah.
I'm really, really interested in that. I'm really interested in how people get from point A to point B. And then my own kids grew up, started going to college. So then I had the college piece added in, very connected to the community college in my adult education job. And they're fantastic people. And I just kept acquiring knowledge. I think it's so exciting that people can be anything they want to be.
Yeah.
I think that's what really excites me. And
Right.
I would never tell a kid or anybody like, don't do that.
Right.
That's silly.
Yeah,
it's not
it's-
silly.
yeah.
Let's figure out how to do it. And
Right.
let's go for it.
Well, it's both of you are good examples, right? Of like, you've had these, different paths, and now you're here and you get to bring and deploy all your experience and ideas and skills. And it's a good example of like, I feel like there's never been a more interesting time to think about workforce development and opportunities, all these different, criteria or paths of like, no, you gotta stay on the railroad, college, single corporate job forever. Like, it's all changing all the time. And if people, I feel like if people get a little sense of how they can navigate it, the world's their oyster, right?
Oh, completely. I mean, I don't think people realize that 80% of jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't even been invented yet.
I have not realized that.
That's insane. It like blows your
You say
mind,
people
right?
didn't, you're talking about me.
Yeah.
I know
It's and the thing is we want to help young people find that passion, light that spark, and prepare them with the 21st century skills they need to do that.
Yeah.
And I think you said it. I think you go to high school, you graduate, you either go to job or you go to college.
Right.
And those are your two options. But the reality is it's not the only two ways to get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And people change jobs. I mean, on average, they'll change jobs 7 times in their lifetime. And not just like, oh, I went from position A to position B in the same company. They will like leave and go someplace else. And so you think about some of the on the job training that happens during that, and some of the processing that happens during that. And what we're doing in 4-H, and we've always done, is that life skill development and helping them think about that now.
Yeah.
So that maybe that first step when they step out of high school is a little bit more in the, I don't want to say the right direction, but in the direction that they feel more prepared for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so like give me a rundown of that. Like you say, life skills for young people. Like give me a little more detail. What does that mean?
So I think the skills we're known for, like critical thinking,
sure,
and independence,
yeah,
and generosity.
Yeah.
I think right now being kind, I think it's a much needed, underappreciated skill set that in some way people say, well, you can't teach it. No, you can. I think you can model it. And so if you ask an employer, for example, what are some life skills that they want? Those are some of the three. Organization, decision making. Again, things that are going to make people show up for work, be engaged in their work, and be able to, in communication. That's kind of a no-brainer, right? Kind of what we're doing right now. So those life skills are embedded in everything we do. And in 4-H, again, people think of a lot of the cows and cooking, which agriculture is our roots and a big part of it. But you think about we use agriculture as a vehicle to teach life skills.
Yeah.
But we also now use other areas of STEM, healthy living, nutrition, outdoor education.
Yeah.
It's a big part of our programming. Civic engagement. These are all parts of, they're the car, if you will, in order to get kids from point A to point B. But in that way, we stack it. The journey is filled with life skill moments.
I love that.
Yeah, good. It's fun.
I say this way too much on this show, but I don't care.
It's your show.
Yeah, I know, it's my show. Well, it's it's my show where I like highlight people, but no, it's a very Da Vinci, it's a Renaissance mindset. Really, it is.
It is.
Well, this is a soapbox that I go on way too much, and I'm sorry for people who listen to my show. I apologize. But it's true. Like, it's funny you mentioned like kindness and generosity as like these are things to be taught. And like, I love the way that you frame it just now. Like, these are all really the same thing. It's like a sense of independence and like self-actualization for young people. And, people have this stereotype of, genius, right? Or like high achieving people as, if someone's really, really smart, they can be, sociopathic a little bit. Like they're cold. They don't. They have this like super, super rational, calculating view of other people, as though that's like a higher way to be in terms of raw intelligence or something. But when you learn about the original like genius of like Western civilization, Mr. Leonardo himself, he was none of those things.
No.
He was a super generous, kind person, right? And just so it's like the prototypical Renaissance genius who did all these different things and like make these connections. Like, he wasn't mean. He was really friendly.
Nice guy.
It's just a good, so I don't know. You're speaking my language right now.
Good. That's great.
So I also have just a different, because I was in education and then out of education and then back into education. Like, I'm like, oh, when I left my last job, they were like, oh, Pam's going back to her people. That's so nice. I get to see both sides.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that really helped, when I came to 4-H, because I could say, this is what employers are thinking. And I will tell you what's really, really awesome is employers are starting to think differently. The place that I last worked, people were there for 40 years. Yeah. I've been here for 25 years. I've been here for this. I couldn't believe it, but they were very much, you got your degree or whatever you needed to be this position, and you stayed there.
Yeah.
Which I think is a testament to the company. They were super good to their people. But I just also remember they had discussions around being kind to employees. And some people are like, what do you mean we pay them? That's kind. It's like, no. And the company really, came to embrace that, and also started embracing the fact that there needs to be different ways for people to, quote, like, get into this business.
Right.
I know that you had talked to Steve from Bring Back the Trades.
Yes.
So, I was at that event.
Yeah.
I was at that event, recruiting for a training program.
Wow.
So my company was able to create their own training program, because really the way you got into that company to become a mechanic was 2 years of school, which is also an awesome thing to do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice. It's not, oh, you have to go to school. Oh, no, you don't have to go to school. Don't do that. It shouldn't be either or.
Right.
Everything is good and everything is valuable. And
Yeah.
I think that's definitely something I want to instill, as I start on this 4-H journey, is that all things that all kids want to do is good. And we just need to support them and provide opportunities for them to get experiences. And that's what we're going to do.
Oh, I love that. Well, one of my favorite quotes from I don't remember his name, but that place Alnoba, somewhere in the seacoast, a great group of people. Yeah, their founder, he gave like a commencement speech or something, and he has this quote where he's like, the world is always trying to put you into a box, like it's always trying to categorize you and make you conform, and he's like, just resist that in every way you can. And like, exposing kids to all these things that you're talking about, I feel like is a really good example of that, because children, they don't know. Like their blessing and their insight is that no one has defined limitations for them yet. So they might be like, I want to be a farmer, astronaut, cook, who designs socks. And then at some point someone will be like, well, you can't. Maybe you can. Maybe you could be the first one, I don't know.
And that's just it, I think. And helping young people see how it's okay. Hobbies can stay hobbies.
Yeah.
And career paths can take you in that direction. And you want to foster that too, right? You want to foster young people having a sense of like work-life balance.
Yeah.
I think right now that's another big thing. And golly day, some of us watched our parents and just kill themselves at work, right? I know my parents were amazing and they worked crazy long hours, and I love that they did that for us, but I also know that I'm a different type of parent, and I'm like today I'm like, okay, I have to be home around 4:30 to be, and that's not have to, but I want to be. And so the kids now, I think, are seeing different models of parenting and how they can, engage with their world. So we want to show them that it's not just work readiness, because sometimes it like leaves a bad taste people mouth too. Like, oh, you're creating a cog in a wheel. No.
Boring.
Yeah. Go tell a kid, you're like, hey, kid, you want to come to 4-H to do workforce readiness?
Yeah, go talk to Pam. She's fun. No, not at all.
No, but we really want to help them find that work-life balance. Yeah,
she is fun.
She is fun. But we want to create that, help young people see that work-life balance. So we really say they're work-life ready rather than, just saying, we call it beyond ready. Actually, that's like National 4-H's wonderful focus for all of us, is that we're helping young people become beyond ready.
Well, it's a very cool, this is like a funny example just now, like people, they're used to thinking of, work or corporate or anything like that as like, an allocation of time or value set that is just in opposition to like human values, right? Or like a human oriented way of being in the world. And I feel like your work is really cool because it's just like, no, actually, if you teach people kindness and empathy, particularly from a young age, like they actually can become extraordinary performers, which is again, like that's like a very corporate word to use for someone,
No,
but
it's
like,
true.
It's both.
Yeah. It is.
Something that really impressed me when I started learning about 4-H was they have their spark. They often talk about the spark.
Yeah.
And that is an amazing thing, because I think a lot of people in general may have felt like they've lost their spark a little bit. And the whole point of 4-H is letting somebody discover what makes you happy, what gets you excited. And I loved that. That really, really resonated with me. So I was like, this is perfect. And someone's like, well, how are you going to teach a kindergartner workforce ready skills in my 3-hour interview? So how are you going to do that? And I was like, well, it's really just raising awareness. It's not necessarily, okay, so when you walk into this job, we just learned how to make cookies. We all work together. We all made cookies. Do you like to cook? Yeah, this was fun. Well, what could you do? Do you think there's like jobs of people who cook? Have you ever been anywhere? I love talking to 5-year-olds. They're a hoot.
Yeah.
Just raising the awareness. I was like, we're not reinventing a wheel here and have to have lesson plans.
Right.
We're just going to raise the awareness of like, you need to be kind. The reason I became a teacher is basically because my parents told me to.
Sure.
Nobody said to me, what would you like to do, Pam? They were like, you need to get a job. We don't care what it is.
Right.
Just get a job. First, I was going to be a secretary, which is an example of how long ago it was, because that's not what they're called anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Because my uncle owned an advertising agency on Madison Avenue, and he couldn't get a good secretary.
Right.
You should do that, Pam. I'm a terrible secretary. I am horrible at administrative tasks. I'll be honest, it's really not my jam.
Right. Now you tell me.
Yep, sorry. And then next it was, oh my gosh, there's a teacher shortage. Yeah. Oh my God, be a teacher.
Right.
Okay, I'll be a teacher. And I was the first in my family to go to college. My father was like, don't apply for financial aid. They won't accept you. Like, we really had no clue.
Right.
And I think that also feeds my desire to help people. And I don't want people to be confused.
Right.
And I want them to, find resources and help, because there's a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love hearing the journeys that people go on,
And there's a lot of them. And I think that's the one thing is like the journeys don't stop in extension and 4-H when you turn 19 and you're no longer a kid. I think the other part of our job that's very cool is we work with volunteers. Without volunteers, we have 13 volunteer programs in extension. And the 4-H volunteer program is one of the larger components of it because of our population that we reach. But volunteers, it's just a grown-up that's finding their spark again, or keeping the flame that spark lit alive. And I think a lot of times when we reach out to folks and we're like, hey, do you want to come work with kids? And they're like, I don't have time for that. I'm so busy. It takes like 5 minutes or 1 hour. Or if you want to come every week, you can. But it's not just for the young person, it's for the adult too. So I think some of the opportunities we have to light that spark and maintain that spark for adults is very much a part of what we're trying to give back.
Well, it's like putting more forks in the road, and it is kind of how I think about it, right? Of like, so often, again, like both of you are good examples that you've given. I think a lot of the value that comes in people's lives is when they, for one reason or another, they do the thing that they're like, not supposed to do, but like, like volunteering on the face of it is like not a productive use of time. You're not getting money for it, right? And it's just like, okay, what a limiting, like, really?
Viewpoint of that. No.
Yeah, there's so much to be, and oftentimes, like, you meet people.
Oh yeah.
You have a great experience, like, and more often than not, I think it ends up being like, how many times do you hear people say in their career life journeys, like, oh well, I was a teacher and I just kind of got railroaded into that, but then along the way, like, it's the things that they don't expect.
Oh yeah.
The things that they don't like. So the more people can have this like open view of like the vista of their future and the ways that they can like take advantage of those things and learn and just change, like to learn that from a young, you're like, who doesn't feel that way? There's a million things I wish I'd done differently if I'd known what I know now about how it all works,
Oh, for sure. And the other thing I think we're doing, like, when you put an adult in a young person's life in volunteering, the young person sees that, like, oh, when I'm older, I could do that too.
Yeah.
And it almost instills that value of like, oh, wow, I could balance a little bit of time later on in my life, like whether I'm working or working at home or what have you. And it's been really interesting to talk to kids about, we did a project where we had kids tell the volunteers like what they learned from them. And it wasn't just like, oh, I learned how to cross stitch, or, oh, I learned how to make a windmill out of like straws. It was also like, I learned that when I grow up, I want to be a volunteer too, that I can help people in my community also. And it's like, cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. So it's not, again, going back to the, like, we're getting people on paths to greatness through careers and workforce, which we really want to bring people together around. But we're also creating these great community citizens that I don't think when you were a kid, you're like, I am going to be so philanthropically engaged in my community. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And when you said community service or volunteering to you as a kid, you're like, I do not want to pick up trash on the side of the road.
Right, absolutely not.
Yeah. But I think some of our young people are starting to see that world is huge too. Like volunteering can be anything from like going to a local, you think of the local community garden and planting a row. We have a plant a row. I don't know if you've seen signs around the area in Terramworth. It happens, and down here where you can plant a row of vegetables for a community member in need, and you glean from your garden. And so you plant 1 row of tomatoes for you, and you plant 1 row of tomatoes for your community. That's giving back. That's volunteering, that service. And it's nice to kind of be able to show kids that world is abundant as well.
I love that you dropped that word.
Abundant.
That's my trigger word in a very positive.
Good.
Abundance is just the whole, it's why I'm doing this, right?
It's a good word. I think like abundance of kindness is kind of one thing, that abundance and generosity are two things that in 4-H especially, like where there's a lot there to be celebrated and recognized. And it's a good word. I agree.
Pam, I have a question for you.
I'm ready for your question.
What do you like about working with Kate?
What I like about
or maybe you hate Kate. It. I don't know.
Well, what I like about working with Kate, Kate's very, 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 very bright and smart, and she seems kind of. She is like 100 miles an hour, and I enjoy that. I like someone who gets it done, and I like to get it done. Right. So I don't have to say, well, should we think about this? Because no, we're doing it, and we do it, and I love that. That's like how I like to work. Yeah. So I sort of mentioned on the slide my 3-hour interview. So I really did have a 3-hour interview where I had to do a presentation, and my family and friends were like, well, are you interviewing to be the vice president? And I said, kind of feels that way. But no, and when it was all said and done, and I met so many people, I can't even tell you how many people I met. Right. Didn't feel like 3 hours. And that's how I knew. I was like, I really hope I get this job, because that was so much fun. Yeah. I was sitting in Kate's office. She's like, so? And I was like, this was a hoot.
What do you
think? This was really
You're
fun.
Like, this is work.
And it was just so nice to be with people who were so excited about what we were talking about. Yeah. I was like, wow, you want to do this too. This is awesome. So it was a really great experience. So that's why I like working with Kate.
What do you like about working with Pam?
Oh, ditto could be like a good word. I think Extension, we're action oriented, and we definitely have research, and we think, and we like to play out ideas. But what makes someone in my world fun to work with, but also a great Extension professional, is somebody who will try anything and is like, let's go, let's do this, because the world isn't going to wait, and kids definitely don't wait. I don't know. And so Pam, she can keep up with me, which is fun, or at least she pretends to. No, and she's extremely innovative and creative, and she will tell you, like, great idea, bad idea, indifferent idea, and also just super positive. I think that, and so knowledgeable. Like, I want to do this. I know somebody. Or how about we do this? We can go there. And it's like, awesome. Like, coming to see you was another one. She's like, I know this is going to sound crazy, but let's go do this podcast.
There's
and I'm
this
like,
man with a microphone over there.
No. And I was like, that's a killer idea. Yeah. And so I love that. Not to mention, it's just fun. It's just fun to, we have similar views on certain things. And she'll be like, did you pick up on that? I'm like, yeah, I picked up on that. So, and I'm very fortunate. And I say this every year to our team. I have the best work team, my work family. Mm-hmm. I mean, Extension is amazing. And we have a great leader, but I also have our 4-H team. They're just outstanding. Yeah. And they work so hard for everything that they do, and they are always thinking about different ways to do it. And like right now, there's challenges. Like there's a lot of things going on. If you read the news, you know. But
what?
They show up every day. Well, budgets, things. Yeah. But they show up and they work hard, and that's the other thing. Pam works hard. And I love that, because if you do that and you can stay fun and smile, then come sit by me. And if you can't, then I'm going to help you find something else.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. This is great. Sometimes I've had people on here and it's like they have a totally dysfunctional relationship, but I don't think I'm getting that vibe.
No, we don't. And I won't even say, because we haven't known each other that long, but we've known each other long enough.
Give it time. The dysfunction will manifest.
We can meet back here.
I have a feeling we're both like very open. Here I am. Yep. Yeah. There's no like holding back.
No, I love that.
Which, I respect. Yeah. And I would say only being here, the 2 months I've been here, she's right. The 4-H team rocks. Like there's nobody that won't help me or answer a question or knows about me. I went to some event, I hadn't even officially started, and someone ran up to me at this holiday gathering and was like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. I have a tractor. And I was like, cool. I felt so fantastic. And I just remember going home and said, oh, I made the right choice, people. I made the right choice. So that was really exciting and cool.
Oh, man. You know, it's funny you say that, not about the tractor. That's extremely funny. You know, so like we were talking about, I talked to the UNH president a couple of weeks back, and something I said to her, you know, we were talking about like college is this really unique time where like, you know, it's good when students can appreciate all the resources and stuff. And I think what I said was like, it's a really unique time because everyone around you is actually like being paid to help see you succeed. Like their interest is aligned with your interest completely. Mm-hmm. And, you know, working at Extension is like not the same, certainly as being a college student, but the way that you're talking about, you know, the work environment and the sense of collegiality and just the team spirit, like it just evokes that feeling for me of like, oh, wow, you really, like you all share this ethos of like, for me to do my best, I have to make sure that Pam is feeling really good too. And like to just, you know, it's non-zero sum.
100%. 100%. And I think like that ethos, like when we go back to like what we're trying to do and why people are like, well, 4-H, what are you doing getting into workforce readiness? Like, well, we can help create that ethos, right? And we can also model that and work with other organizations. So whether you're you want to work with our community economic development team and we go and work with your businesses and think about your culture and how we can help you shift and transform and be relevant in 2025 and beyond. Or it is, you want to work with young people and attract new opportunities. Like I think that's one thing Extension 4-H is really looking to do, is to kind of bring that ethos, spread the ethos.
Well, one question like in that vein that I would have for both of you, if you can answer it, you know, there's other extension programs, right, and other university systems, like, and you know, this show was all about New Hampshire.
Yeah.
If you could answer, it's fine if you don't have a good answer, but like, what are some things that you think that, you know, this system, like UNH Cooperative Extension, does really well, like relative to other ones? Like, I don't know, is it something about the structure of the organization, or?
I have two real quick on like one thing that UNH Extension in general does really, really well, and 4-H included, is that we're connectors. Like one thing that we can do, I don't like to use it, I wouldn't say better, just something that we are really emboldened and empowered and able to do is bring people together. Like we're creating this, we're calling it the Grit to Grow Collaborative, and we're going to be bringing people from industry and education and, you know, civic worlds together to the table to talk about kids and careers and workforce, because everyone's doing 9 million things in different places. And sometimes in places like New Hampshire where you live, free or die, like you get in your niche and you're like, I do this and I do this really well. And you're working so hard to sustain that you don't look outward because you're afraid someone's going to take it or do it, or that you're not going to have. But we're connectors. We do that super great. So we want to bring everybody together, no threat, no territorialism. Like, let's talk about getting young people into the, you know, future work-life balance that they need, and let's do it together. That's one thing. I think UNH Extension is uniquely positioned, no offense to my great colleagues and other extension units across the country.
Right.
We're small. I don't know if you noticed that. New Hampshire's a tiny state, but we are mighty.
Yeah.
And what I love about the state and about our extension and university system, you know, our extension director, Amy Loader, and our amazing president, Chilton, they think they get things done.
Yeah.
And to be in a small state, like I think I've seen other extension systems drag their feet because they can't seem to, I don't know what they're afraid of. They can't seem to get it over the finish line. UNH Extension does that. It's not that we're moving with haste or without, you know, any type of precision or intentionality or thought. We are doing it effectively, and I like that. I like that UNH Extension, along with UNH, like we move needles.
I love that. You're action oriented.
Yes, 100%.
You know, if you have an insight, Pam, I'd love to hear it, but it's fine if you don't. I know you're new.
So I am the newbie. Yeah. But something I always notice, and still notice in the 2 months I've been there, is just how everyone in Extension, and I work actually out of the Hillsborough County office, which is in Goffstown. That's really where I sit, so to speak. You know, they're my supporter, and so I'm the 4-H person, and there's another 4-H person, but then there's all these other people that I've gotten to work with and meet, like our office administrator is, economic development, and I sat and had an awesome conversation with him. But that's beside the point. We know that everybody's really smart and they're awesome at their jobs.
Right.
But you should see the level of activity. So it's a little quiet, and then someone runs by, and you're like, oh, who is that? Because they are going all over the state doing all kinds of amazing, cool things to help people.
Yeah.
There's, a whole program to help women, learn how to use that tractor, to learn how to use chainsaw. I was like, what?
I know the chainsaw lady.
Yeah.
Well, I know there's more than one, but my good friend,
Is it Kendall?
I only mentioned, I don't actually know, and he's going to kill me if he listens to this. My wife is obsessed with enrolling in this program, the Woman with Chainsaws program.
Yes,
and
she should.
My good friend, Ian Goodrow, who comes to Sustina Billabrews and is my wonderful, colleague, his wife manages that program, I think. And I don't remember what her name is, but just on the off chance, we might be talking about the same person. Just that, the Woman with Chainsaws. How amazing is that?
I know. Well, that's what I just kept that's what I was. I was like, wait, you do what?
Yeah.
And then they're like, and you know what else, Pam? Underneath us, where we're right here. I'm like, yeah. They're like, is a basement full of seeds. I was like, what? It's just all these things. They probably think, I know, they probably think I'm just.
Oh, yeah, the seed thing.
The seed program.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, all my friends who still are teachers, did you know you can get seeds? Well, one of them was like, I want a lot of seeds, and my friend works there. Give them to her. She will drive them back to Portsmouth with me. We were so excited. You would have thought we had gotten something really. Right. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Amazing. And we were both like, look at all these seeds. And you can, she's a middle school librarian. I mean, you can put them up and your kids, and there's just always something amazing going on. And that's what I always tell everybody, oh, you got this new job. What do you do? I said, well, I do this and this and this. And it's really cool. But wait.
Yeah.
But wait.
Right.
Did you know you could do that?
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's such a good example of, this echoing a conversation I had with someone else in the university system, right? I think there is a kind of scrappiness, right? Everyone knows, certainly, who wouldn't want to have a budget of $1 billion and $1 billion, right? But extension and all the things you're talking about, I think is a really good example of you could point to organizations, in the public sphere who, are bigger, have more staffing, have more budget, but the human capital and what you are able to achieve and the record of involvement and engagement that extension provides is I don't even have the words. It's unfathomable. It is insane. It is insane. Even as someone who went through very briefly the Master Gardener training, when I learned about the seed program, the free seed program, I was like, this is a thing, again, relative to other things that people will allocate money for, this is very cheap. This is pennies on the dollar budget wise to pay for this program. And the return that we get for it, is just unbelievable. It's just, in terms of people's experiences, to say nothing, they plant the seeds and the yield that they get for that and the teaching, it's just
and they've met people and now they're not lonely.
Yeah.
And they create a community. There's just so much to all the programs. And that's a big thing with 4-H. 4-H is community. We want kids to feel involved, and there's a whole teen leadership program, and, it's hard to be a teen.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and there's so our teen leadership specialists is just really great at creating this safe space for people.
Yeah.
So, I admire that.
Yeah.
I really admire it because they're tough, people, they have that reputation. They're a tough group to work with.
Sure.
She's amazing.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what they need.
Teens with Chainsaws group.
I feel like I have a risk management liability crossing my desk here really soon.
That's right.
Oh, we have a shooting sports program. I think we started off before we hit record. We talked about that third space.
Yeah.
Right. And I think one thing that we really want to strive with Extension and obviously with 4-H is we want to be that third space. So for your listeners who don't know what that is, because it's not a very common research theory, it is a research theory though.
Are you listening, Mom?
Here's what it is. First place is where you feel most yourself, and it's almost like you don't have a choice. It's home, right? And even it's unbelievable. They'll show you in children who have been in troubled homes, their home still is their first place because that's what they connect with. That second place has a sense of obligation, but you still create a sense of meaning place theory because you have to be there, so you try to almost warp it into it. No, work.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and I don't mean to say church in this way, but for those of us who had to go on a Sunday morning,
right,
but
it's different.
But that second place, is that place of meeting. Third place is all you. It is all you. It's where you are your authentic, genuine self. Where you go. For some people, it's a coffee shop. Like right now, people are across the street at White Heron, thoroughly enjoying their cup of coffee in their third place.
I was there this morning.
Yeah, yeah. And you can have more than one, but
right.
you don't normally. You normally have like a couple, like you have a handful. It's where you can feel like I'm going to walk in there. I'm not going to feel off. No one's going to judge me for who I am, how I act. I'm going to do something that I enjoy. And it is all about me. And so 4-H, I think, is one thing that we seek to do that with young people, help them find it, help them figure out what that is, because that's where most of your growing occurs. And also your self-actualization and all that great stuff we talked about earlier. But also as an adult, Extension provides opportunities for that third place to exist. And I don't think we're really tired of hearing we're the best kept secret, because we don't want to be a secret.
Right.
We want everyone to know.
We want to be a secret.
Yes.
But we also love knowing that that people value us for that.
Yeah.
And that's a value-added piece
100%
to the experience.
Well, exactly. It's not like as though more like a good problem to have would be, oh my God, we have too many people signing up for
right. Please
for
give me
stuff,
that problem.
Right? Yeah.
That would be awesome.
well, it is funny. I mean, again, it's not so different. Like, again, college is just this, like, I suppose in theory, like when I talk about this with, students and stuff, it's like, no, really, you should all just be harassing your professor at office hours or any chance. Like, this is a chance to build a relationship with someone who is vested in your success and has their own network of people. And it's like, and a lot of the time, these resources that are there, this is like the bittersweet, reality, right? Like, which point we want to highlight. There's so much there.
Yeah.
And your work is a good example of, like, people don't even know. They don't even know about the free seat program or about the, the Call a Gardener program.
That's
you can
right.
get an answer, right? And, so like the bitter thing is like, the awareness isn't there, but it's a good problem to have, because it's like all this stuff is just there for you to take advantage of, and like, man, we're here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, we get that regularly.
And in 4-H is like that gem too, like that not everybody knows about. I had 3 kids. I raised them right here in Portsmouth, and I felt like I was a very aware mother. I knew what was going on and where programs were. I never knew we had 4-H so close by. I don't know why, because there are cows at UNH, but didn't know.
Right.
And I'm kind of mad at myself for not knowing that. So now I really make sure that everybody knows about this. It's affordable. So many kids' activities now are very, very expensive.
Yeah.
And it's inclusive and anybody can go. And it's so flexible. Right. It's not like you need to be there 5 nights a week and it's, no, come. You like this? You like STEM? We're having a STEM activity. You want to try it out?
Yeah.
And then once you try it out, we're going to show you another STEM activity if you like it. And then hopefully you'll want to come into the fold and we will welcome you.
Yeah. And I think we also we're about family.
Yeah.
So I think that the traditional family is no longer, there's no such thing as it. You literally just had a turkey run down the middle of the road. Sorry.
No, I love New Hampshire. Wait, was that like a literal turkey?
Literal
or a
turkey. A little turkey.
That's okay. A couple weeks ago around the corner.
Later,
no, I'm not. Are you kidding me?
There was literally a turkey running down the road, Brewery Lane in Portsmouth. I love this town. Family. Is that what I was talking about?
4-H.
Thanh you. 4-H and family. But family in general.
Traditional family's dead. We're all turkeys. If you don't have a turkey in your family, what are you doing?
Oh, no. Like literally, he's over in the parking lot by my car right now. So
that's too funny.
The family aspect of our program sets us apart. You kind of asked that question earlier, like what makes us a little bit different? We have amazing programs in agriculture. You can learn how to lots of different tend to animals and to grow gardens and to grow a garden in your backyard, whether you live in a high rise or an apartment or a duplex or a 50-acre farm.
Yeah.
But we also have these great outdoor hiking challenges. Every season there's a different hiking challenge. Right now we're doing the maple sugaring thing. You contact your extension office. They send your kids a packet. It's questions. It's take pictures. It's something you can do as a family. We have the hiking challenge during the summer. Here are very easy to get to hikes. Do this, and you become a 4-H'er when you do that. The thing you don't might not know is that we have a thing with if you become a 4-H'er, you have an automatic scholarship to UNH.
Oh.
Yes. You get $500 a year.
That's money.
For every year you participate. So if you start
really cool.
when you're 8 and you're done when you're 18,
wow.
when you go to UNH, you get $5,000 off every single year. That's $20,000 off of. And that's the commitment that UNH makes to extension and to young people, is recognizing that these kids come out usually fantastic students, and they can, and if you decide to go to our amazing community college system first, you go do that for a couple years and then come to UNH, you still have that pot of funds waiting for you when you get there. Yeah, it's a really cool thing. So anyway, I forgot to just...
No, I like that so much.
I just like the investment that the university makes in extension is outstanding, and in our young people. So
well, that's such a good... I was literally talking about this, yesterday. And I'm glad you mentioned the traditional family thing, right? Like, it's such a good, there are problems in the world, but like, man, we live in this amazing time, where it's it's all these barriers for what is like socially acceptable are just, being broken down. And, like people talk often now about the burden of, childcare or children. And certainly, it's expensive, housing expensive. Like, there's a lot of barriers, to making it easy to have kids. And, a lot of people are talking about like, we need more kids, the birth rate's going down, or rather, even if whether you do or don't want kids, everyone can agree, man, we wish it were easier for people to have families, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And this is such a low-hanging fruit. You have all these things, all these like affordable, fascinating experiences. Like, I'm just thinking of like some mom out there in Carroll County or something, thinking like, oh, I don't have time. I've got my kid. I love my kid. Like, how do I make their life richer? And it's just like, 4-H has curated all this stuff for you.
Yes.
Like, just show, just get on the
Call
email.
Karen.
Call Karen.
Call Karen and Karen Deegan, lovely woman, Carroll County.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is. It's true. And people don't, and that the parent, and as a parent, I can tell you what stops us from picking up the phone.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it is. I don't have time for that. I'm so busy, and my kid kind of wants to do soccer, or my kid wants to go do volleyball, or is going to has 3 other things. I've got to work till 5. Right. I can't possibly fit another thing in. And oh gosh, are they going to make me show up every week? Yeah. Are they going to make me in that? And then you get, before you even pick up the phone, you get this parent guilt that no one's guilted you. It's self-inflicted, right. Mind you. Yeah. And you're like, oh God, I can't do it. So you don't call. And what you don't realize is that we acknowledge that. And so there's a whole menu, if you will, of ways to have 4-H help curate that experience, whether it's like, okay, I just need something to do on a Saturday with my kids. Right. What's going on? Or I need my kid to do something because I can't get them off their darn phone, and I want them to do something enriching once a week.
Right.
We have it all. And as a parent, I think knowing that is helpful, and it's not going to break the bank.
Right.
Right. But that's also great. But we're the same reason people don't volunteer. They're like, oh gosh, I'm going to sign up to go be a master gardener, and they're going to make me do something all the time, which is why you're probably a master gardener dropout. No, right. That's not right. But to
be fair, we're here right now doing this, and that's why.
Exactly. It's just, but
I want to return to that program someday, to be clear.
Right. I'm going to make sure Ruth has your email, but we definitely want everyone to understand it's like, it's Choose Your Own Adventure. Did you read those books?
Are you kidding? I'm such a huge fan.
Favorite. I love that. Like, the ending could come in 2 pages or in 30.
So I can't tell that story on air. No, my wife is a really big fan of, it's like Dungeons and Dragons is popular now, and it's the same ethos of like, you create the character you choose. But there is a series of books called Heart Quest that was like,
Oh, I think I've heard of those.
Have you really?
I've heard of those, yeah.
No one has ever heard of them. They're amazing. It's like, Dungeons and Dragons Choose Your Own Adventure books, but marketed to teen girls in the 1980s. And so there's 6 of them. They're formulaic. They're all the same, but they're just like, you're a headstrong, 15-year-old girl who wants to be like a knight or something. And then you go on the quest and, do you take the prince's hand, or do you say, I'm going to do my own thing? Turn to page 72, where you live happily ever after. Turn to page 103, where you become a wizard. It's like, she loves those books because they're ridiculous, and it's cute to see like, oh, so many things have changed in terms of how even like feminism, like how we view that. But for many years, my goal was like to procure the entire collection for her. Oh. And I succeeded through extra legal means, you
Nice
might
job.
say. And I can tell you that story. But
so
yeah,
great.
I love those books.
And that's what we try to. They are great books. It's a great way to live your life, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like
It's all choose your own.
it is choose your own. And if you get that ending that came in 3 pages
Right.
and you're wicked bummed, read the book over, dude. Like just start back at the
Yeah.
beginning because that might take you in a totally different direction.
Right.
And in 4-H, I think we want to show people that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doers.
we are.
We're doers. We don't like to not be busy.
Learn by
so
doing.
there's always something new coming out. Someone always has a new idea, which is really fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's just the way to be, you know. And I'm so excited to go to our Grit to Grow advisory meeting, which I know meeting. I'm going to see all these people. Some of
Yeah.
them I know, some of them I don't know, some of
Right.
them I've seen on. I can't even wait.
Yeah.
I'm going to chat these people up, and
Right.
they're going to get a lot of Pam, but
Yeah.
that's okay. And I'm going to learn about what they're doing
Right.
and what they think about helping kids be ready and what they're looking for. Because Kate and I can sit here and talk about it, and we think kids need to learn this, and we think this. We don't know the business.
Right.
You know, we don't work at a CTE center right now. We're not in their classrooms. Let's talk to the people who know, which is another thing I appreciate about 4-H is it's based on research.
Yeah.
They're just not like, you know what? I think everybody should make snowflowers and snowflakes and this and that because that's fun. I know,
Right.
snowflower.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I was thinking about? They do an upcycle program
Ah.
at the Maker Space.
Yeah.
I think that's over in, I can't remember which
Wolfboro?
county. Thank you. It's in Wolfboro. And
There's
we-
another one right over there.
I know.
Yeah.
We do such
Yeah.
cool stuff.
Right.
Anyway, I get very excited and I
No,
want to
love
do them
it.
too. So.
Well, I think you'll the meeting, so to speak, right? It's like we need to have a new word for meeting. People have all these fun words that they
Kate
use.
has called it 4 different things. I think she keeps
Yeah.
trying.
A soiree.
You know.
gathering, collaborative.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd
I
go to
say
soiree, but
you got like food in the name, and like all of a sudden people show up. Yeah, it's always helpful.
a munch and talk. But I feel like the excitement that you bring will you'll actually have a better meeting and you'll all get more done because it's just like, hey, who's excited to be here? Who's excited to be doing
Yeah.
this? I am. Let's go.
yeah, and I know one of my next steps, so to speak, in this Grit to Grow journey, the Beyond Ready that we're instituting in New Hampshire is I'm going to be looking for Beyond Ready mentors, Beyond Ready minded mentors. But there's so many people that have so much information and
Yeah.
things that they would probably love to share with a
Yeah.
kid about their career journey. Did they go to school? Didn't they go to school? What did they do?
Yeah.
And I don't want to let that
Right.
fabulous information go to waste. So that's my other thing. We're going to do that soon too.
I love it.
The thing I would love to leave with you is that sense of gratitude that we talked about earlier. Like, I'm very
Okay.
grateful that you create this space
Oh,
for people to come and talk about the good
Yeah.
and remind others of the good and grow the good.
yeah.
Like we grow in 4-H, we grow things, and we try to grow that generosity we talked about earlier and
Yeah.
grateful. So I'm really grateful that there are people out there that want to do that same thing.
Yeah.
And I think when times are tough, you look for that. And I just want people to look at us, like look at Extension as a way to, if you want to be around other like-minded, grateful
Right.
people, yeah, come check out Extension, come check out 4-H if you want to do it with the young people, because I think gratitude is infectious. And it's, yeah.
Yes. No, I mean, there is an abundance of great stuff that you are all doing. I really feel that way. It's like good problem to have. And so it's like, wow, we do all this stuff and not enough people know about it. So you're here and the 10 million listeners of Granted Goodness are all going to hear about it, which is very exciting. But all right, my final question for you both, which I've been trying to ask more lately and I like, what does live free or die mean to you? I asked that someone once and they just said nothing extra. It is what it is. I don't need to add anything. So, but some people, we all have a relationship with that phrase and it's the motto and like it means something different.
I don't know. Unfortunately, sometimes I think it's used kind of in a negative connotation.
That's
like,
fair.
live free or die. We're so stupid. Live free or die. Don't do that because no one makes you and it's not safe. Like, I
Right.
feel like that's kind of where it's been thrown around
Sure.
a lot, which is not okay.
Right.
I think live free or die just means we're from New Hampshire and we're proud to be from New Hampshire. And maybe we don't do things like everybody else, but we don't care. And we don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah.
We just mean That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Right.
Let them. What's her name? That lady who does the podcast.
Let them.
I forget her name. Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what I think of.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's the ethos. It's independence.
Man, mine would be, I hate to quote Morgan Freeman from Shawshank Redemption, but it's like,
quote him.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Yeah.
I think for me, live free or die is like live free, like go do you.
Right.
And if you really are doing you and your genuine, authentic self, and insofar as, and hopefully safely, then you are doing good.
Right.
And otherwise, you are maybe not literally dying, but you are, right. You're not living.
Yeah.
So
no, I love that.
Go live.
Well, there's a profound application of that phrase, as much as there is like a silly one, right? Of the miasma of like this never-ending dispute of like, we the federal government want to make sure everyone in New Hampshire wears a motorcycle helmet, and then New Hampshire is like, no, you can't, or a seatbelt, right? It's a seatbelt thing. That's what I'm thinking of, right?
Yeah,
it's just like,
you're right with the helmet thing too, though.
Yeah. It's always a funny thing. All right. Well, thank you both so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
That's great. Appreciate the time.
We'll have you back on at some point.
That'd be great.
I'm sure we'll have a lot to say. We always do.
We could have we should just do a whole 4-H extension.
We'll bring the chainsaw.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we should bring you to teen conference this year and have you talk to the teens.
I love to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing would make me happier. Are you kidding?
We'll get it on the calendar.
Every time you talk to us, people always get another job.
Hey there, thanks for spending some time with us, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation. You can learn more about today's guest and how to get involved with or support their work in the show notes. If you'd like to suggest a guest for the show or have any story tips for our Good News in New Hampshire newsletter, shoot me a message at hello@granitegoodness.com. Music for this episode was provided by the band Sneaky Miles, who hail from Newmarket, New Hampshire. Until next time, I'm the creator and host of Granite Goodness, Andy DeMeo. Thanks for listening.